Evening and welcome to the planning board meeting. It is March 19, 2019, 7 o'clock, and the first item on the agenda is the master plan steering committee update. And Amy, want to give us an update?
Sure. We had a meeting March 7th at the library, and we finished reviewing the recommendations that are on the master plan. So we went through housing, and then we talked about a survey that's coming out at the end of the month. And it's going to go through town meeting, and hopefully everybody will take this survey. We'll definitely get the word out. And Fran will also be at town meeting, right? She might speak at town meeting about the survey and about the master plan.
Will there be a booth at town meeting for the master plan?
Maybe. I don't know if we went that far.
I actually didn't hear
Sorry,
that.
will there be a booth at town meeting for the master plan?
No, I don't think that we'll have a booth. I think we'll have a handout on the, information table about letting, people know that actually, I think we'll have a link to the survey, so people will be able to take it. And it'll be open, like Amy said, we're hoping the survey, we're planning to go live with it at the end of this month. And then it'll be, people can take it until the end of the town meeting week, so that's April 26th-ish, 25th, 26th. And then also, the next steering committee meeting is May 9th. So, so we're keeping that every other month schedule. And we'll probably be meeting a couple more times after that, and then we'll be wrapping things up.
Do we know what the survey is generally going to be?
Yeah, the survey is going to focus, we actually just had a conference call on it today. The survey is going to focus on the recommendations and asking residents to rate the what's most important to them out of all of the recommendations. All of the recommendations for each one of the goals has been approved by the steering committee to be, included in the master plan. And then now, we're looking for public, broader public input on that. Some of the recommendations were discussed at the last public forum, which wasn't, unfortunately, that widely attended. So that's why we're following up with a survey, hoping to get, as many people as possible. And but that's primarily what the survey is going to focus on, is presenting the recommendations. And then probably, we're not sure yet, like I said, we just had a conference call today on it, but we'll probably have people rank, like their top 2 or 3 recommendations for each one of the goals. But again, we're gonna do a mock survey amongst, the chairman and myself and the consultants, and time it, see how long it takes someone to go through it. And then we'll, sort of, finesse that and then go from there. So again, we're still on target to have it released at the end of this month.
Okay. And do we have a sense, like, overall for the master plan itself? Are we on track to finish it by mid-year, or?
Yeah, well, actually, we're on track right now to probably have it finished up this summer. We're hoping that, again, this will be the 3rd and final survey, and then I believe we're going to do one more public forum. But that's, our goal is that, we would be completed by the end of the summer. As far as the committee work, there might still be some, final edits and so forth, but.
Okay. Amy is our resident committee member, the only one here tonight. How do you think it's going?
Seems to be going fine. We're moving right along. I don't know.
Well, as a planning board member, do you have any concerns that we need to be thinking about at this point, or do you think that it's being addressed through the process?
Right now, I think it's being addressed through the process. I don't know right now. I didn't put a lot of thought into that today.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. Carrie and Anthony were probably there too. I don't know if they have any comments.
Did either of you attend?
Yeah, we did the last one.
Do you have anything you want to add to it, the discussion on this?
No, I think it's in a good place. It seems to be moving along. I think, as Kathy said, I wish more people attended the public session. If there's another one, that's great. I hope more people would want to come to
I
it.
think we talked about doing a 4th one, yeah.
A 4th, yeah. And I hope the survey get some people to fill it out at least. It's hard, if it's long especially. people get-
So that's what we're gonna test amongst ourselves.
Right, that's a good idea.
Just to see, because again, we want it to be comprehensive, but at the same time, we don't want, who's gonna fill out a survey that's gonna take them an hour to fill out? I mean,
Right.
it's taken us meetings and meetings to go through the recommendations with just, the 15 steering committee members. But then at the same time, we don't want it to be a 10-minute survey, just because the subject matter is there's so much that's gonna go into this survey. So, it's not going to be a 10-minute survey, but, we don't want it to be an hour survey either, so we gotta find that sweet spot.
So you think, just so I'm clear, you think it's gonna take more than 10 minutes for somebody to sit down and go through the survey?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
This will be a lengthy survey.
So we really need to encourage people to take the time to do this?
Yes.
And not give
we
up
talk-
on it?
Yeah, we talked amongst the steering committee members that, everyone's gonna use their, various, social media platforms. We'll certainly have it on the town's website, we'll, advertise it on cable. We will, send it out through the, town news blast. The recreation department has a very large email, list. We still use emails. So, we're gonna put it out through, that process also. So it's gonna be highly advertised.
Will it be emailed more than once? Like a couple of times as a reminder, if you haven't done it, do it
Yes,
now?
yes, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
But you'll
Excellent.
only be able to take it once. It has to, I know there's a technical term for it, but basically, only one email address per survey. So if you have 3 email addresses, Gmail, AOL, and your work,
I can bias the outcome.
you can take it 3 times if you want, but, certainly the intent is for, one survey, one person.
Okay, great. Okay. Anything else?
No, I think the process is good. It's very thorough. It's gonna take some time, but I think, I wish more people would participate, but
Right.
it is what it is.
Right, I think if I remember correctly, the last meeting was what, February 13th? Was the last public meeting?
Yes, yep, that was a public forum.
And there's a combination of February, it just being February and perhaps weather.
could
But I
be.
think if your next one is in the spring, especially now that we've switched the clocks again, you probably are more likely to get
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
participants involved in it.
But it's been, I mean, I think, it's going really well. Where, it couldn't be any more transparent. I mean, we've tried across every form of, again, social media to encourage people to, come to the public forums, participate in the surveys. They, check the website, the master plan website. Just individuals have called me just, through the planning department, if they have a question, and, we encourage that all the time, so.
Are we tracking how much traffic we get on the site?
I have not, but I'll check with the consultant to see.
I'm just curious as to
yeah.
whether they're tracking that or not. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to know whether the effort that gets put into the site was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. Well, we got like 4 more minutes to kill.
Well, it's not a public, it's,
Oh, I don't have to wait till
no,
7:10?
it's not a public hearing.
Okay.
So you don't have to wait.
Ah, you guys are in luck. All right. And before I move on, anything else on master plan from this side?
No?
Anything else on this side? Okay, then let's move on. A little bit early, discussion with the ZBA site plan approval applicant for 66 Lyman Street.
Yeah, Jim, I think if you, sort of right next to the table. Terry, that works? Yeah, okay. So, while Jim sets up the easel, this, what, you all asked for, obviously, was for the applicant and their representative to come to the planning board meeting ahead of going to the zoning board of appeals. They have their public hearing, the applicant has their public hearing with the zoning board of appeals on March 26th. And Jim will go into detail about this, Jim Almonte from Waterman Design. But basically, there's an existing facility out at 66 Lyman Street. Although you get to the site from Railroad Drive. And the name of the company is Nucor. They've been in town as a community partner for years, and have continued to grow in town And this is another expansion that they are proposing for their facility.
Okay. And my name is Jim Almonte. I'm a landscape architect with the Design Group, formerly Waterman Design. This project is at 66 Lyman Street in town. North is straight up the page here. This is just an existing conditions aerial photo of the site. So it's, like I said, it's at 66 Lyman. It's to the north of Railroad Drive, which is located here, and it's on the west side of Lyman Street. The abutters to the property to the north is a consolidated railroad track that's currently active. To the west is Lyman Street, and then further to the west are some additional industrial properties. To the south is Railroad Drive and more industrial properties. And to the west is Juniper Hill Golf Course. The property is identified as on map 71 as parcel 3 on the assessor's maps in town. Currently, the existing facility is shown here. It's about 148,000 square feet of warehouse, and it houses Nucor Packaging. The original building was constructed, I believe, in 1987, and then they had a building expansion in 1998. And at that point, they did some expansion of the parking lot in back that currently houses parking for the employees, as well as some containers for the tractor trailers. It has frontage on Lyman and Railroad Drive. It's zoned industrial. It's also located in groundwater area 1. The entire property is about 13.5 acres. It's serviced by town water, and there is a subsurface wastewater disposal system located there. And there are some wetland resources located off to the west of the property, kind of straddles the Locust property and Juniper Hill. There is a named brook that runs through there. It's called Stirrup Brook. The wetlands and the mean annual high water were delineated by our office, and the entire property was surveyed by our office as well. There's also a small area of 100-year flood that basically follows the wetland line off to the west there. No portion of this site contains priority habitat or estimated habitats of rare wildlife or certified vernal pools. Soils are classified as pits, gravel, and the majority of the site is flat with elevations around the building at around 282 to 284. It does slope down from Lyman at about an elevation of 318 at the northeast corner, which is about the highest portion, and then again down to the building at around elevation 282. Existing drainage, there is an existing surface detention basin located here. It discharges through a closed drainage system that goes under the parking lot to one of the 2 detention basins that's located at the end of Railroad Drive. One services the site, the other services the drainage for Railroad Drive. About 50% of the site is covered with impervious surface. About 25% is covered by building. So what the applicant, Nucor Packaging, is proposing to do is construct just over 38,000 square foot addition. This is a little bit of an enlargement to the previous plan, so it's at a different scale. But what they're proposing is a 38,000 square foot addition located off to the east of the existing building. It's located essentially in that area of the existing detention basin. They currently lease space around town. They're proposing this addition to kind of get everything in one location to be more efficient with their operations. We're also proposing to pave a small area of gravel located to the south of the existing building, just to provide access to the proposed addition so they can bring equipment in as needed. A portion of the existing building located here is pre-existing non-conforming to the setback to the residential zone, which is located along the north property line. We are proposing as part of the development to expand along that area, and I can get into that in a little while here. But The existing, as far as drainage is concerned, as I mentioned, the proposed addition will be constructed within the location of the existing detention basin. So in order to compensate for that, we are proposing a subsurface infiltration located to the east of the building here. And that will be, we'll pick up a few area drains along the perimeter of the building to handle drainage. And that will all discharge into the infiltration system, and then it'll eventually tie into the same drainage system that discharges to the existing detention basin off to the west. Stormwater calcs have been provided. There's no increase to over existing flows to the basin, and stormwater quality is increased with this design as well. So we requested a zoning interpretation from the zoning enforcement officer. He determined that the permitting process is a special permit with the ZBA for the expansion of the building according to section 7-830 of the zoning ordinance. The extension of an existing wall at or along the same non-conforming distance within the required setback may be approved by a special permit from the zoning board of appeals. So that is a special permit that we trigger with the ZBA. And we also had site plan approval for the construction of more than 1,000 square feet of a non-residential building. The addition will be strictly used for warehouse. There'll be no new employees required to service this building. So again, it's just strictly warehouse space to store some of the materials. And the reason why they're proposing this expansion here, this portion of the building abuts the railroad spur. That's where they get the deliveries for their material, for the raw material. What they would like to do is, this section of the building is about 4 feet higher than this section, so they do need a ramp internally to slope down to the proposed addition. So in order to make this space as efficient as possible, the ramp will be located here. That way they could utilize the majority of that space for warehouse storage. So that's essentially the proposal. Again, we have a hearing with the ZBA scheduled for the 26th of March. We went to Concom last week just for some of the work that eventually gets to the resource areas, or to the buffer zones of the resource areas. And we got a negative determination of applicability from the Conservation Commission, which was actually a good thing. So that's essentially the proposal.
Great. Well, first, thank you for coming on such short notice. I think we just notified you maybe last week or perhaps the week before, so I apologize for the short notice. Thanks for being here. Fred, have you had a chance to look at this?
I have not yet.
Okay. Based upon what he has told us thus far this evening, anything jumping out at you from just the site plan
No,
perspective?
actually, Jim and I have had several meetings reviewing their proposed project before they actually submitted, so
Okay.
staff and I as well are quite familiar with what they're proposing and why. I just haven't reviewed the details and
Okay.
prepared a letter yet.
Okay. The only question that I had a couple questions written, but you answered them eventually. And you might have actually answered this one, and I wasn't paying attention,
That's okay.
because I was making notes, I'm sure. How much of that non-conforming setback, how non-conforming is it? Like, what's required and what actually is it?
So there's a 100-foot setback that basically follows this portion of the building. So this spur, this portion of the building that abuts the railroad spur is within that setback. So it's probably about, I'm guessing maybe 30 feet or so.
Okay,
It projects 30 feet into the setback.
so you still you still have about 70 feet off the building to the
About
boundary?
that, yeah.
Okay.
Roughly. Eyeballing it without a scale.
And how far into the property does the spur go? Where does it end?
So it follows here.
Yeah.
It goes right to the building here.
Okay.
Ends here.
Okay,
And then the railroad track is here, the main
Yep.
track is here.
yep, yep. Amy, you have questions?
Not really, because I looked through it too, and I think you answered a lot of questions. The only question I had is I went through the old decision, and I meant to get out there, but I didn't. In the old decision, there was a double row of 6-foot minimum height arborvitae must be planted and maintained from the westerly edge of the building to the westerly edge of the parcel. And it goes on. Do you know if that is there?
That's, it's actually shown here.
Okay, I just wanted to
And it
make
goes-
sure.
Goes further.
Right.
And that's about it. I didn't say anything, really.
All right, thank you. Carrie?
Yes, so my questions are, when I look at this, there are residents on the other side, so if you just flip it back for a second, to zoom it out. So the residents, so there are trees already there, so visually, what do the residents see when,
Not a lot, because
Okay.
there's actually a berm here as well.
Got
So
it. Okay,
It goes up, and then you have trees on the other side of the tracks as well.
okay, great, and you can just flip it back for a second if you don't mind. And then so nobody the exit in and out is that front spot that has a little,
Yeah, this is Lyman Street and then Railroad Drive, and that is the only access point to the site, is at the end of Railroad Drive.
is right there, okay, great. And then, I guess, I don't know if this would be conservation or Fred, but there was no issues with the flood zone or anything like that in terms of what was proposed with the drainage, that wasn't going into,
No, like I said, I haven't reviewed all the drainage calculations yet, but I did review the concept of what they were proposing preliminarily before they submitted, and it was okay.
that seemed okay, all right, great. And the other thing I feel compelled to ask about, because we always ask about them, are the salamanders. So I just saw that the last report was from August 1st, 2017. Is there any update, anything new or anything that we should be aware of since that report, or?
I don't think anything,
No, there was nothing on the natural heritage
Yeah.
that popped up.
I can elaborate a little bit. What happens is when they file with conservation, they submit to the DEP, and they are required to review the map, the most current map.
Yep,
Regardless of what we have in our file, they have an obligation to review the maps online with the DEP.
Oh,
And then
good.
file with the Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program, who must respond before the Conservation Commission can issue an order of conditions.
okay,
They did not, so the commission proceeded with the negative.
the
RDA.
negative, which is good.
Right.
Okay, great, let's see. Oh, and in terms of construction, so in building this, there's certain hours of operation for construction, so it's not like, it's within the regular restrictions of what we
Yeah, it
have?
would- Yeah, we would have to follow through the building permit process. So it's basically a Monday through Friday, and then, I believe Saturday morning, until noon, unless they get special permission from the building inspector.
Okay, all right, so that's all set. And then in terms of, I noticed at the last hearing, it was a long time ago, but a lot of neighbors are concerned about noise. Do we know, has there ever been, are there issues with noise there? It seems to be okay, we haven't had complaints, or?
Many years ago, there were something new installed, and the gentleman from Newcore might be able to explain it better, but there was something new or updated on the roof, and there was some noise, and we did receive, some calls from the people on Ridge Road, and then the company, immediately addressed it, to take care of it, and it, met all the noise requirements, and we haven't had any complaints since. And like I said, that was the year, I want to say 15, 20 years ago.
Okay, it did seem like a long time ago. Yeah, I just want to double check that.
Oh,
And in terms of lighting, is there any additional lighting on that new section over there, or any additional, there's nobody really over there, it's just literally a warehouse? Okay. Okay, I think that was all my questions, thank you.
Anthony?
I have nothing.
I have a couple more. How tall is that gonna be?
It'll probably match the existing building. I'm guessing it's probably what, like 32, something like that. Feet. So it'll match the existing building. The roof line will essentially be the same.
I'm just trying to think, because I drive this road all the time, so I know exactly where this building is. But now you're sort of moving the front of the building a little bit closer to the road. I'm wondering if we might want to consider putting just a little bit more vegetation, if it's possible, because I know that you've got drainage going in there. If it's possible to squeeze maybe just a little bit of vegetation along the line at Lyman Street, just for the purpose of sort of blocking the additional height that's coming out towards the road.
There is some existing vegetation here now. I also know there's a water easement that runs through that upper corner of the property there, so I don't think we'd be able to plant anything there.
Okay.
There is a water line that runs through there. And again, there is, it doesn't really show here, it's probably more brush than anything else, but there is some vegetation here now.
Okay, and you're not removing any of that?
No, the
Okay.
limited clearing is pretty much in the lawn area, if you will.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else
No.
on this side? So what do we do at this point? Because we've done this so many
Well,
once
if you-
before.
You
so-
can do one or two things. You can send a memo to the zoning board of appeals if you want, saying that, you know, you reviewed the site plan and, you know, you don't have any, you know,
No recommendations?
yeah, I mean, your recommendation is, you know, that it should be approved, or, you know, something to that effect. Or, you know, you can remain silent and not send anything to the ZBA. It's
Right.
whatever, you know, however you wanna go on the record,
I-
if you do
I'm-
wanna go on the record.
I would be inclined to just send over a memo saying that we've reviewed it and we don't have any changes to recommend.
Okay.
But how does the rest of the board feel about that?
That makes sense.
That's okay?
Yep.
You good with that? Do we have to vote on that, or you,
I would like to, just so that we have that in the
Okay.
minutes.
somebody
that-
want to make a motion to that extent? Anybody? If you say so moved, because I put it up there.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, you're good. Good luck with ZBA. Thank you. I'm gonna skip minutes for right now. We'll come back to that. I know that we have some language for a reappointment process that we need, or want to consider, but Michelle has asked that we put that over to the next meeting. But I think we can have an initial discussion about it, just to sort of feel out the four of us that are here in terms of it, and not finalize anything. Because if we've got changes to what's been proposed thus far, you know, we can have her review the updated version and then expedite that process at the next meeting, because we'll be coming up against a hard deadline on the April 30th part, right?
Yeah, so I'll just give you
That's fine.
sort of an update on what the planning board has done in the past.
Yep.
And why this is before you. So the planning board has two appointments on two boards in town, Earthwork Board and the Financial Planning Committee. And so the Financial Planning Committee person that the planning board appointed originally in 2014 to fill a seat that had become vacated in the middle of a term. The gentleman that the planning board interviewed and recommended, his name is Tom Sparks.
Spataro.
You know, someone in the office couldn't get his name today, and I've said Tom's name a million times because he's been before the
Spataro.
CPC.
Spataro.
And, so anyways, so Tom applied, the planning board, appointed him initially in 2014, and then has since reappointed him. So his term is now up, and in the past, the, you know, appointment letter has gone, you know, from the town administrator's office to the chair, of whichever board is the reappointment authority. And then the planning board has, you know, discussed it at a meeting and, you know, so far has made the vote to reappoint the person. So, in light of some of your discussion at the past meetings, because you don't have, well, the planning board has never had a written policy on how they appoint anybody. You've just always taken the lead from the Board of Selectmen and followed the Board of Selectmen. So, so it's, you know, there's never been a problem or an issue in the past, and you've, you know, continued to reappoint people to the Financial Planning and to the Earthwork Board. And then you also have the appointments to the Design Review Committee. So, so in light of some of the recent conversations, what is before you is the Board of Selectmen's policy. I don't know if it's something that you want to, you know, take something, not that it's extremely lengthy, but to go from, you know, no policy to having, you know, a several page policy, or if you just want to continue, you know, following what the selectmen have done. And which personally I think works, and is the much easier, cleaner way to do it, as opposed to you adopting a new policy and then, you know, us having to keep track of that. So anyways, so what you have in front of you, that was emailed to all the board members, is the selectmen's new policy, which involves, as far as what pertains to the planning board, is when someone is up for a reappointment, you know, the process still will be that that person is asked if they want to be reappointed to the position, and then also the selectmen will go ahead and then advertise on the town's website that there's a vacancy. So if, you know, there potentially could be, you know, I don't know, you know, 1, 2, whatever, you know, someone else could apply for the, for that position on the board. So then the selectmen will, there's an interview committee, and then the selectmen will then interview, you know, the person who wants to be reappointed, and then whoever else has applied that, you know, may want to also fill that position. So, the selectmen have adopted that policy, I believe it was at their last meeting. And it's not anything that you have, you know, discussed yet. Tom's appointment is up, as all appointments are, on these boards, April 30th. So, I didn't know, you know, for the purpose of, you know, moving forward and, you know, keeping these appointments up to date, if you want to go forward and, do Tom's reappointment tonight, or do you want to have Tom come into a meeting, since, you know, at least tonight, 2 of you have not met him, the other 3 planning board members have, and they've reappointed him. So if you wanted to have Tom come into your next meeting and talk to him then, and then, you know, separately, if you want to, you know, again, as Michelle had said in an email to all of you, she would like to be part of the discussion as to whether or not the planning board adopts a policy or not. So you really have 2 things before you tonight.
Right.
The consideration for Tom's reappointment, and then whether or not you want to adopt your own policy or not.
How many days does the selectman keep the position open on the advertising?
I don't
Does it
know.
say?
There are 2 selectmen here tonight, 3 selectmen. I don't know if they know, but,
Does anybody know?
I don't know.
How long does it get advertised for? Do you guys know?
In the case of a vacancy?
Yep.
The vacancy would be advertised for at least 2 weeks on the town website, on cable access, and through whatever other communication channels.
Okay.
To advertise that. So it'd be at least that minimum period for people to become aware and express their interest through a submission of an application at town hall. In the case of a reappointment, those are just on an annual cycle, and so the advertisement, I think we just said, will be
March 27th.
in this case, for this year, through the end of March 27th.
When did it start, though?
I
Began.
think, if, just in, what I
Yes,
just found
if
in
you
the
could.
policy.
Sure, yeah.
February 1st.
Yep.
That the selectmen, will, you know, send out the reappointment letters,
Yeah.
and then also now, you know, post.
At the same time?
Yes.
So, all right, so the advertising is gonna begin February 1, so it's like a month and a half to 2 months of advertising for a reappointment position.
So, I mean, given that, this appointment is, you know, expires April 30th, I would, I mean, if you wanted to, well, 2 things, you know, if you wanted to have Tom come in, that would be at your April 9th meeting, and then if you wanted to advertise that there's this opening, you know, it would be from tomorrow to, it would be for like about a week, because, you know, then we would need to, you know, we need to close it off so that we then get the appointments in, well, so like we can have. You know, because I wouldn't want to do it up to April 9th, I'd want to do it to maybe like the Friday before.
Right. Okay. Just, it doesn't feel like enough time. A week of advertising doesn't feel like enough time?
I mean,
to get the
personally, I
word
don't
out,
think so,
but-
I mean, I think, you know, going forward, if
and
you
I-
wanted to do this.
Right, I can't help but wonder if we only advertise for a week, if that would be looked at as inappropriate, like, you only gave us a week, nobody had notice, kind of thing, where, you know, our intention is to try and give as much opportunity as possible, but because we're up against this hard deadline, I'm wondering if there's no good way to resolve this, I guess, but.
I provided everyone with a copy of Tom's resume and his application that he had originally filled out, just, again, just to review that, maybe you know Tom, I don't know, but, so you have that information. Just as, sort of as some background information, since Tom's was appointed in November of 2014, Financial Planning Committee has had 23 meetings, and he's only been absent for one of those meetings. I go before Financial Planning Committee all the time. He's a very active member. He has a, financial background. I mean, it makes absolute sense
That's
that
helpful.
he's on that committee. But,
Let me see how the board feels about it, so. Amy?
I did get the chance to meet Tom, and I know Tom, so I don't need to meet him again, but I think if the new members want to meet him, he could come in on April 9th.
So it's, I'm sorry.
Oh, the
I
1
should've-
week?
I should have asked you a question instead of just looking at you and saying your name. Sorry. So what we have to decide is, do we want to
Advertise
appoint
for it?
Tom under the current process that we've been using and then implement a policy, if we even decide to implement a policy, given that we've got such a short advertising period? If we were to implement this policy, which I don't think we would really, out of fairness to Michelle, I probably wouldn't recommend implementing it until she was here, which wouldn't be until April 9 anyway. Or do we, I think that voting on the policy we need to put off until then.
Till April 9th,
So,
yeah.
are you comfortable appointing Tom back to the committee, knowing what you know about him and how he's served thus far? Or do you feel like we need to do something different?
Well, if he comes in on the 9th, will there be enough time to appoint him and do this, or there won't be?
Well, if we can adopt the policy, but I think it would be difficult to implement it for that position, because the position expires April 30th.
I mean,
And
I
we
do
don't have
know,
another meeting, the next meeting would occur, I think, during town meeting week, right? Would be the
Yeah,
Second
well,
meeting of the month?
the second meeting that you have, I'm away at a conference. But if you were to meet a second time in April, actually, you're not meeting your normal night in April, so you've already gone a week
Oh, yeah,
into
you're right.
April. So you're April 9th, and then your third meeting, the third Tuesday of the month is the 16th. Like I said, I'm away at a conference, and then town meeting is the following Monday.
And the 16th is, I think, is school vacation week.
Yep, the week before town meeting
That's
is.
school vacation week, right? Yeah, that's school vacation week, so I don't know that we have a lot of opportunity to take advantage of the policy, implement it, and apply it here, and have somebody appointed for April 30th. But I guess the alternative is that we don't appoint anybody, and then our person doesn't show up until we decide to appoint somebody,
right.
so.
I mean, I'm fine with it, because I know him, and
Okay.
I've met him, and he, like she said, he's only missed one meeting,
Okay,
so
so you'd be comfortable.
I'm fine.
Carrie? Same question.
Remind me of the question?
So, I'm just trying to gauge your level of comfort with appointing Tom, reappointing him to the current position without following these policy guidelines, and then reviewing and approving or amending or not approving these policy guidelines at the next meeting. We can also meet Tom at the next meeting, interview him, do what you need to do. But I think because of the timelines that we're working with, I think it's gonna be difficult to first adopt the policy and then implement it for this position unless we let the position stay vacant.
Okay, and does this also impact our earthworks appointment, or that's a different?
You don't have anyone that's up right now.
Got it. Oh, that's right, we just did it last week.
Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
okay. So, I think this is great. Thank you for providing the information. He looks obviously more than qualified. I'd still would love the opportunity just to meet him. But I don't necessarily, I'm okay with if, Michelle did request to be a part of this, and I think that makes sense. So I'm okay with adopting this after, but at least having the opportunity to meet him and just ask some questions, see if he likes it, see if he wants to continue.
Sure.
Anything,
And assuming that he does, and you're okay with him, would you be okay approving him absent this policy in
Yes.
place?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Anthony?
So I guess I would agree, I'd like to continue until Michelle gets an opportunity to participate. I don't know, Tom, but I think that based on the history and everything I heard, there's no reason why we shouldn't do that if there would be a hindrance to doing it by the 9th and getting it done by the end of the month, so.
Okay. Okay. All right, then so let's ask him if he will join us on the 9th. And have we already scheduled things on that agenda?
Yes, we have hearings starting, you have 3 hearings that night, so, and I just booked them 15 minutes apart, just so that there isn't lag time in between. But the hearing's starting at 7:15, so you can have Tom come in at 7.
Yeah, all right,
'Cause we
great.
really-
So let's put him on for
We
7.
really don't need a master plan, at least I think.
Right.
We're not gonna have a master plan steering committee in between. Right, and if anything, you know, we can give information about the survey, you know, just under old new business. So you can have Tom come in at 7.
Perfect. All right, you guys good with that?
Yep.
Yes, you're good with that? Excellent, okay, and then, so, if you've got any comments or anything about the proposed policy that's here, assuming that we want a policy, take some time, if you have the opportunity, to look at it, and if you've got changes or whatever, email you, Kathy, or, yeah, it's just send.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Kathy and-
it's pretty, I mean, it's nice that the selectmen already did this, and so, you know, crossed out selectmen and stuck in planning board. So, I mean, I don't really think that there's a lot of heavy lifting if you are gonna adopt a policy,
Right,
you know, I mean, this makes,
and these applications
Makes
don't
sense,
need
and
to
it
go
works.
through, they can go through the town planning office, they don't have to go through selectmen or town clerk or anything like that, right?
Well, just to keep, I mean, the way it's advertised on the webpage is that everything goes into the town administrator's office, and then they, you know, distribute it. So, you know,
Okay.
they would just send it to, I don't remember how exactly, you know, it was worded in here, but it's, you know, they do the advertising, they, you know, they handle it. It's
Okay.
just handled centrally.
Okay. Well, I don't want to overburden the town planner, you, with with interviewing potential appointees to our various boards, but,
Yeah, but that, you know, they handle the letters, you know, when people are up for reappointments. You know, whoever does the reappointing, they handle all the letters, the town administrator's office.
okay. All right, great.
So we would discuss this at the April 9th meeting as well.
Yeah, you got a pretty full agenda. I mean, I'll put it on there, but,
So let's put it on the end, and if we're like
Yeah.
totally smacked and it's running after 10 o'clock, Michelle will probably shut down anyway, and then she'll say we need to push it off, so.
I have a
Because
quick-
we also, I'm sorry, because we also have the final hearing on the zoning that night,
yeah,
right?
you have your continued hearing, then you have the public hearing on the citizen petition for the zoning articles, and then you have it's not a hearing, but a site plan approval meeting on the land clearing petition.
Right, the land clearing permit, got it. Okay. Amy?
I just have one quick thing, and it's faster to say than email. But on the second page of this, do you have it in front of you, Kathy?
Yep.
On number 7, in the middle, where it says Board of Selectmen, is that supposed to be Planning Board?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's just, figure it's quicker to say than type it out.
yeah.
Okay. And if you have any other changes, just let
Sure.
Kathy know. Okay. All right, we don't have any A&Rs or anything like that, right?
Nope,
Nothing else we have to deal with on that. So that just leaves the minutes. So I have not read the March minutes.
I know, I mean, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say, I know. I meant,
I know you didn't.
you all got them today. So I didn't, unless people had a, you know, empty afternoon, I didn't anticipate that anyone would, you know.
I don't
maybe
even
you
remember
could read, you would have read them, but, you know, not be prepared to.
Has anybody read them and have changes thus far?
Not
You read them
March, I
yet?
haven't read them yet, no.
No?
March, no.
I have not.
Okay. So then February, after our meeting last time on the February minutes, we are obviously at loggerheads as to what to do with that last part. So I've proposed some language that hopefully satisfies, I think the three of you were the most objected the most to my original language. So I proposed some language which appears in green in here, which, even though I feel as though my First Amendment right would be to have all my language in there. I'm willing to take it out in the spirit of compromise, just to move forward, have some minutes to give to the public, because we have to get minutes to the public. So if you guys have had an opportunity to review it, have comments on it.
I did have just one change to the last sentence, and I emailed it to Kathy. But I just want to look it up, because I don't remember exactly how I worded
You
it.
know what, Amy, I don't, if it came in this afternoon, I was in,
Yeah.
meetings from like 3:30 or so on, and,
I'm
and
just gonna
it
say-
got out about 6:45. So if it was during that, it must have been during that time period, because I didn't see it.
Okay, I just want to look, because it was worded, but I just wanted to add myself, it was Ms. Martinique and Ms. Prutsky, because when we crossed out all the red, it lost my statement.
Well, the red is on the next page. What's been crossed out is at the top of the next page, and your name's not in there.
Right, but I'm talking above it. See the red above it, where it says Ms. Prutsky?
What page are you on, Amy?
I'm on page
Oh, I'm sorry.
9.
Yeah.
So I just wanted a
She did not
statement.
believe that this is what was said. So I don't have a problem with adding your name in.
I just,
Martinick, and-
yeah, Ms.
And I mean, I don't care if you add all three of your names in.
I wrote Ms. Martinick and Ms. Prutsky disagreed that such prejudgment had or would occur. That's how I have it on my phone. I emailed it, but. So it's Ms. Martinick and Ms. Prutsky disagreed that such prejudgment had or would occur. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So that's the edit to the last, that's your edit to the last sentence?
Yeah. Are you guys, is everybody okay with that?
So where do you want it, Amy?
In the green, on page 9.
Yeah, the green, okay, yep, the green is what Teresa added.
Yep, and I emailed it to you too, so you can get it after, but where it says Ms. Martinique, I wrote Ms. Martinique and Ms. Paretsky disagreed that such prejudgment had or would occur.
So instead of denied,
Yep,
you want, okay, Ms. Martinique and Ms. Koreski
disagreed,
disagreed that such prejudgment had occurred.
had or would occur.
So it should be had occurred or would occur. You have two separate tenses. All right, and then there's already changes in here for Kerry and for Amy. Are there any other changes to the minutes? No. Any further discussion of the minutes? No? Anything on this side?
No.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I make a motion to approve the February 5th, 2019 minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I think that does it, right? The agenda's, I've checked everything off on my agenda.
Yeah, let
So
me
we're
just
done.
see if I had.
I just asked, it's okay if we don't have time, so just give a quick does CMRPC count as a subcommittee update on the agenda, or would I have to list it separately?
I'm wondering if Michelle should be here for it. Is it something that she would appreciate
Yeah,
having
maybe.
insight
It's
on?
not critical. It was just about, it was all about housing tools as it relates to the master plan, so that's fine. It's not
Since she's
critical.
on the committee,
Oh, yeah.
we
good.
probably should wait till she's here for that as well.
That's fine.
So we should probably maybe bring sleeping bags to the April 9 meeting, because I think it's going to be really long at this rate. Oh, my
Oh, you know
God.
what? It's not even that critical. If we run out of time, it can wait
Okay.
beyond that as well.
But just to, in general, Carrie, just to answer that, that's why I put that on there, it just says subcommittee. So whoever wants to do a subcommittee update, because there's, like
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 of them, whenever, like sometimes Michelle will do design review, Amy sometimes will do open space. I mean, not that there's subcommittees, but you get the, other committees that you guys sit on or that are liaisons to, such as Central Mass.
So I just have questions about the next agenda. In terms of the petition that has a hearing, what's the format for that? So we do our own zoning amendments, and then we have a citizen's petition that also is at the hearing? Or how does
Yes,
that
yep.
work?
So because it's a zoning hearing, because it's a zoning amendment, It doesn't matter who's proposing it, the planning board has to hold by state statute, the planning board has to hold the public hearing. So that's already been advertised, that's all in the works. Everything that we have to do for the AG's office, we handle that in-house, regardless of whether it's a citizen's petition or, an article coming from the board. So what will occur is whoever is the lead petitioner, they'll come and do the presentation to the board. And then, you'll, ask your questions and, again, it's a public hearing, members of the audience could ask questions. And then whenever you ultimately decide to close the hearing, then you'd have to take a vote and make a recommendation on those. I think it's all gonna be wrapped up into one article. I'll double check on that, but I think it's all wrapped up into one article. And so you would have to make a recommendation on that article, just like you do on your articles.
And I just had one more question about Forbes Road. Is that a ZBA application, or is that us? Is that? We received this at some point. I don't know.
Astro.
That's
Oh,
not,
yeah,
it's been withdrawn. So you can
Okay.
put it in recycling.
Okay.
They did, they withdrew that?
Well, no, they're moving forward, but what it.
Oh, right, this is the one where it was overstated what they needed to do.
Exactly, yeah, as far as the chemicals that they're gonna
Right,
have.
right,
Yeah,
right, yeah, they didn't actually need to do what they
yeah.
thought they had to do. Got it. Okay, so for the next meeting, we'll also deal with the March 5 minutes. And then if these minutes are done, we'll deal with them, otherwise we'll take them at the next time. And then Kathy gave us a checklist for minutes, which, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, that was just, I just followed up with the town clerk's office, and that's something from the AG's office. It's just a one-pager. So
Okay.
it's-
And groundwater recommended approval of 329 to 333 West Main Street tonight, subject to Fred's receipt of certain pieces of information. Are we recommended? Yeah, we recommended approval from the groundwater perspective. Yep, they did a lot of work at our request, so we were satisfied on groundwater. So, anybody have anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. Appreciate it.